Welcome to the show. This is No Interference. We are your host, Westside, Big Sass, and the Bull. We are moving along to Week 9 in the NFL. Sorry, we had a little break. Some of us just needed a little vacation through this hectic season. But we are back, and we have a lot of stuff to cover. First and foremost, the struggles and strife that the Washington football fans have been going through for the last 2 decades may be coming to an end. There are rumors that Dan Snyder and his wife are potentially looking for a sale for the Washington Commanders. What do y'all think?
Sell.
I'll let
Sell the metal.
Commanders fan take the lead on
If
this
they
one.
went, if the media just jumped on this with no actual backing of them wanting to sell, I'm gonna lose my shit because I feel like you have to. If you're to hire somebody like this, you want to sell the team. I don't think you go that far is to actually acquire a whole. You don't go to the bank and be like, "Hey, what do we gotta do?" If you actually don't plan on going through with it. So if they back out, I'm gonna be pissed as a fan. At the end of the day, I'm gonna take with my team for what they are, and if he's the owner, he's the owner. But I think I speak for all Washington fans when I say it's time to sell.
Well, I heard on the radio someone said that the Snyders were looking to either do a complete sell or like a half sell of the team, and everyone's like, "Well, who's going to want to split ownership with them with all the baggage they have and terrible decision making and whatnot?" I'm like, that's like how everyone's like, "Well, here's a deal," but like that's one of the biggest butts there is.
They should be the minority if it comes to that. They should be the ones that only have 49% or whatever the number ends up being. Because if he's worried about his pockets, I mean, I guess if you want to keep making your money, whatever. But he should not be in charge, clearly. How many lawsuits come out a week about Dan Snyder? I know I'm exaggerating, but still, it's just unheard of.
Yeah, I think it's universally agreed upon that he's a dirtbag and bad owner. He's been their owner since 99. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
And since then, they've made the playoffs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And
it's more than I thought.
Have you guys won any of those playoff games, RJ? Do you know off the top of your head? Lost division, lost wild card, lost wild card, lost wild card, lost wild card.
Seahawks, Bucks, the last 3. We lost every one. The one before,
Yeah. And before he came along, there was no playoffs for a few years, but early 90s and in the 80s, they were Super Bowl winning team, playoff contenders. So, he hasn't done anything right.
Not a single thing.
And, as far as I think I know it's hard to get rid of an owner if they're squeaky. Like if he was just a stand-up perfect guy, he just didn't have good football knowledge and deciding what direction to put the team in, I guess it'd be hard to get rid of him. But like you just said, the lawsuits that are coming out and the baggage that's there, I'm still shocked that he's on the team. I mean, that he still owns the team, and I just can't wait. I hope whatever happens, mostly because of you, RJ. I have a soft spot for Washington, being an Eagles fan, and I know you're the same way with the Eagles. But I just hope whatever happens after he's gone, it turns whoever the owner is or owners turns things around. I always think about does Dan Snyder is he more, we were just talking about it before the show started, owners being involved and not, is he like a check signing guy, or is he a actual like, I want this player? Because like what he wanted, like the one I think of the most is like Albert Hainsworth. Was that a guy he wanted and wanted to open the checkbook for?
Yeah. So until Ron Rivera, he was I'm gonna take my head, I'm gonna put it right in your shit type of owner. No matter what it was, he had a say in everything. That's where the whole RG3, Shanahan, and even when Gruden came in, because it was all Snyder apparently. But then
Right.
when
I remember that now,
we had that, it was just a horrible ending with Jay Gruden. Not the worst possible ending, but it was pretty bad. The whole season was a loss. And then we brought in Ron Rivera. He had said he was going to take a step back. This was 3 years ago now. And he actually, true to his word, has done that, is what it seems. Like, he gave Ron the reins and Martin Mayhew the reins. People that he hired to do the jobs, he started letting them do their jobs. And then, we have been on a positive, I would say, incline with a couple, it's like up and then up, and then, we don't fall 2 steps back, but we still fall back. And I think him stepping off.
Was him taking a step back, was that by design or by default? Because he probably knew stuff was coming out.
That's honestly,
I think that was more.
Go ahead, Ted.
Let me find the best football guy I can get and let him handle things while I have to go into hiding for a few years. Because
I think it was more so he had to.
Because that
was also when all those stories came out, and then he put his wife in control of the team.
And then, even when it goes back to the name change thing too, he was, he's just a stubborn guy. He said he would never change the name. He was very adamant about that until he had to, aka people started pulling money away from him. We were going to lose sponsorships from our biggest sponsors, and he had to.
And they were going to take the licensing or whatever.
It was
too.
everything, and he had to do it. He's definitely a stubborn man who probably will never change his views or whatever it is, his ways, until he has to.
Watch they sell and like the Washington Commanders win like the Super Bowl.
That would be amazing.
2 years later.
Don't tell me that twice.
Trevor, you mentioned that apparently 2 of the names for sales was it Jay-Z and Jeff Bezos?
Yeah. That's the reports as of today.
Just exit out of it.
That's the rumors.
Yeah, apparently.
We'll see. It's going to take months for anything to actually happen if it does. But hopefully it happens by the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, if a guy like Jeff Bezos,
richest man in the world.
Jay-Z, I don't know. What was his deal with the Nets?
Well, he was he was an owner of the Nets, but then he wanted to open his own.
He did a talent, or he did a
talent agency, and you can't be an owner and be linked to an agent's.
But he was the owner, right?
That's why the Nets got in trouble when he went into the locker room that one time during a college game. Because
I think he was a part owner.
Yeah.
Either way,
because wasn't that when that one random billionaire also bought the team.
That was back when they were
Russian guy or whatever.
Yeah. But he sold it since then.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, I don't care who the owner is. I think we were talking about this too. As long as it's somebody who has good character and, doesn't mind opening his paycheck with the right guys telling him who to open it up for. And hopefully they can, guys with that much wealth, hopefully have some kind of judgment of character, because they've had it's not like that's their first rodeo hiring people. And a guy like Jeff Bezos, who started literally from the bottom, and created, Amazon, which is the biggest company in the world, rivaling other giant companies. I mean, we all pretty much agree that Amazon is probably going to take over the world, or Disney.
It's going to be a trio, Elon Musk involved.
So, I mean, if Bezos does buy them, or if he partners with somebody, find the right guy and let them run the team, hopefully.
The only thing that, for it comes to the owner, as long as they, like you said, hire the right people, but you have to hire, I would prefer an owner that at least had somewhat knowledge of football. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit, just because of the fact of people you're putting in charge. You have to hire the right people for that. It's not just if they're a good person or their work ethic.
What would you do if
the knowledge of who they, they're a GM? You want to hire somebody that knows what they're looking for. But if the owner doesn't know what they're looking for, then how do you know what I'm saying? I'm sure they hire consultants and stuff and all that other stuff. They have friends and yada yada yada. But with the Jaguars owner, who I can't remember his name, Shahir Khan. Yeah, I remember when he got hired. We had found out that he had nothing to do with football. He's from overseas originally, where they don't really have football. And it was just like, well, I can't really, I don't really hate it, but I don't know. Like, does he know what he's doing? Like, maybe he's a good business owner. The NFL is a different business at the end of the day. I mean, business is business, but if you want to win, I mean, like, it's not about the money. It's about if you want to win. And we've seen what's happened with the Jaguars since he's been the owner.
If a light came through your window right now and the wind started blowing and you heard a helicopter outside and Jeff Bezos hopped out and ran up to you and said, you have 1 year with complete control of the Commanders to fix the team, do you think you could do it? But you're allowed to hire whoever you want.
Well, I don't think 1 year is possible for the greatest GM of all time.
Turn things around.
Does that mean I take ownership? Like, I don't have to be.
You would have complete creative control.
I think I do a better job than Dan Snyder.
You could hire who you wanted. You could hire you could have your pick of coaches.
Even ones that are signed already. That's what I was thinking. I was like, well, all the GMs that are good are gone.
My point. Now I've forgotten it a little bit. I got out of a little out of control there. Was that
I don't let RJ touch the cap.
Now
I've gotten better with
Go on to the next topic.
I get your point. The point trying to make was
what I was saying.
Maybe higher now.
I just was saying. I think as long as
there ain't no clear cap button in real life.
I don't know.
Hey, we ban that rule.
I can't. Good one. I didn't hear that at first. That's funny.
All right, moving on. We're about halfway through the season. Is that time of year? Injuries are starting to pile up. Off the top of my head, Ravens just announced Rashad Bateman's out for the year. Michael Thomas is apparently potentially out for the year. Jamar Chase has a hip issue that who knows could be a couple weeks to 6 weeks. Keenan Allen somehow re-aggravated his injury during his bye week. There's, a plethora of other injuries that I can't think of. Zeke Elliott is banged up for the Cowboys.
That might be a good thing.
That's true. I could probably go on and on just digging through my thoughts, but do you guys think that there's one that's more significant than the other?
Did you say Michael Thomas?
Do you think that Michael Thomas, didn't you say there's a report that he might be out for the season or something?
He's out for the season.
Yeah, Schefter reported that he's out for the season.
Well, the reason why I said it was because for me, like that's the biggest, least impact I think it's going to have on the Saints season. They've already been without him for 2 seasons. Obviously, he brings something to the table when he's playing, but right now, Chris Olave is hot too. They don't even have a quarterback. I really don't, I don't think it matters as much for them. I think the Bateman injury, though, for the Ravens is a big one. You saw,
I was gonna say that.
Him and Lamar already had a connection. They were making plays left and right when he was playing. Plus, they don't really. They have Duvernay, Deshaun Jackson, Marcus Robinson, all guys that you wouldn't touch in fantasy at least. Mark Andrews is the main guy.
Yeah, I mean they signed Deshaun Jackson before Bateman got injured.
He's been on the sideline the last 2 games.
Yeah, he's been there. Yeah, this would be his 3rd week. Apparently, he's going to suit up this week. I
mean,
I think it's just talking about injuries. I think the Bateman one's huge because the Ravens have, I think, on a per game basis, like on averages and whatnot, the only receiving core that's producing worse than the Ravens one is, and this is just wide receivers, is the Texans. Are the only ones below that. And Bateman, before he got hurt, whether it be fluky or maybe that's just who he is, he was making big plays for the Ravens. He was their yak guy. So now the run game is still not picked up where we all thought it might be, especially with Gus and Dobbins having setbacks. So it's just going to go back to the old clamp up Mark Andrews, easier said than done, but clamp him up and then just say, hey, Lamar, you need to play above MVP caliber football to compete every week.
Yeah, I don't think the Bateman loss as like
his talent.
I don't think losing Bateman himself is a huge loss. I just think the way the Ravens are constructed and what talent they do have, it's a big loss because he is talented and they don't have anybody else.
Yes.
But aside from like one big, which is, is good, one big play a game, I don't think he was doing that great. And he played six games. I don't know if he finished the sixth one. He had 15 catches, 285, and 2 touchdowns through 6 games.
He left 2 games early, though.
His catch percentage was 53%. So you're telling me 1 in every 2 throws Lamar Jackson makes to you, you're not going to catch?
Well, not to...
granted, it's not... I'm not saying it's Bateman's fault all the time, but either way, whatever it is, 53% of the time, it's not going to be completed isn't good.
I think it is funny.
I just think
that Bateman was supposed to be the Hollywood replacement,
the number one guy
and be better than Hollywood, and he's literally like the exact same so far. Big plays,
and
injuries.
I personally think that falls on Lamar. Devin Duvernay. I don't know. It's weird. I'd have to go back. I don't watch every Ravens game or play, so I'd have to look back and watch every throw. But the games I do watch, we all live in Maryland, so RJ lives in the next door neighbor now. But his address is. But I do see Lamar Jackson more than other teams. And to me, he still does make. I think he's a good thrower of the ball, and I think he is a superstar, and I think he deserves to get paid. And I've always said this, and I wouldn't take him anymore. Jalen Hurts is the best, but Lamar Jackson, he still throws off. He still has those technical mechanical throwing errors when he doesn't need to do it, and I think that's why he's so good with Mark Andrews, is because Mark Andrews is arguably the best tight end in the league and one of the best players as far as catch radius. How many times does Mark Andrews make a miraculous catch? Granted, Lamar Jackson might be like, I know he can do that. Let me throw it here. But I don't know. I think that I got off topic there. I think that if the Ravens had more talent on the outside, this wouldn't be that would be for every team, but it wouldn't be as big of an issue. I just think it's a bigger issue because who do they have now? They have Duvernay, Robinson, Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson's not reliable.
Yeah, so just look for example.
On the field.
Bateman goes down, and now DeMarcus Robinson is your best receiver, basically. And I'm pretty sure most teams.
Duvernay's been good.
No, but Duvernay, it's just the way they use Duvernay. They move him around, and DeMarcus Robinson, he's probably going to get the most targets after Andrews and potentially Isaiah Likely. But as far as receivers, DeMarcus Robinson is probably going to be leading them in targets. But then and DeMarcus Robinson, no offense, I think most of us would be fine with our third cornerback on him, let alone a starting number 1. On the flip side, in division, look at the Bengals. They lose Jamar Chase, arguably a top 3 receiver in football. He goes down to whatever. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, just goes scorched earth on everyone. I'm sure they're oh, I wish we had Jamar, but at the same time they're
until they play the Browns on Monday Night Football.
That play by T. Higgins. That play by T. Higgins the other night, though, even though they lost, where he just jumped off to the other corner. It was a little bit of a push off, but I could if your receiver's going to do that, I could go out there and make touchdowns, throw touchdowns.
But do you think they win that game if they have Jamar?
You're just making a point.
They're scoring on every drive because all they do is throw it up to him.
I was just saying that
Oh, now I remember. Left my head again. But so if you look at last game, the Ravens have no choice in my opinion now. But who were they playing Thursday night?
Saints. Monday night.
Who did they play?
They played the Buccaneers on Thursday night.
The Bucks. They beat the Bucks. So in the first half, Lamar Jackson threw it 30 times. They were down 10-3. Second half, he threw it 8 times. They ran the ball, I think, 30 times. They ended up winning whatever the score was. They should have been doing that all year. And I know their offensive line was iffy. And
Ronnie Stanley's back now.
The running backs are injured. Yeah, and now they have Gus Edwards back, but he might be... Is he out a game or two?
I think he's going to be out a game, at least.
So, if he can stay healthy and Dobbins can maybe come back, I think he's out a few weeks. Yeah, they need to just stick to... They, especially now, be as creative as you can with Lamar Jackson and stick to the run. Sorry, we got off topic as far as receivers and the impact, but that seemed to be the biggest impact one.
Yeah, well, I think this is something that I kind of was pushing for, especially with the extended schedule now. I think the league might want to look towards implementing 2 bye weeks.
As a football fan, I would hate that, but as far as player health football and
I feel like they add another game. They should definitely do 2 bye weeks.
Extra week of football. It wouldn't be an extra game. It would just be an extra. Would they have to add a game to do that?
No, there would just be, instead of 18 weeks, it would be 19 weeks. Because you had a bye. So.
But then you just might as well add an extra game.
But it wouldn't be more games.
No, but it would be an extra week.
I mean, yeah, if they want to. Yeah. I mean, you could do one so a team, you would essentially. Would it be the same as where certain teams get screwed? Your bye week's week 7 and 8. Good luck.
I don't know. Well, I mean, look at the
week
Titans.
1 and week 18.
The Titans had, what was it, a week?
Sorry.
6 bye? Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Eagles
and also the Titans are like the most injured team in the league. Coincidence?
I think not.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they took away the 4th preseason game. And then they added. That's essentially an extra bye week right there. The 4th preseason game.
That's like if they
took away the preseason game and they kept that week though in the schedule, so it's just a bye.
That's like if the school system added a week of school at the end of the year, but started a day later and like, hey, look, we increased summer.
Day.
Okay, what about if they did? What happens if they did what the NBA and other leagues do, and they don't have separate bye weeks, and they just do right in the middle of the season, every single team's off?
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
And then they, whatever, fill in the blank on how they entertain fans.
That's where you have your little.
Every team has to deal with bye week. That would obviously cost them money for a week.
Well, if they switch back to pro challenges where they just do throw a ball through a circle, stuff like that, not actually doing a Pro Bowl. You could do that in the middle of the season because nobody's really risking injury. Just
if they
doing the minor stuff, no actual physical. I guess you could get injured, but
yeah, coaches would definitely push back on. I don't think that's. You could argue that if you put incentives in there, players would want to do that, but coaches would be like, "You're taking away a week of preparation." Mm-hmm. So. I doubt they would ever do that, but I don't think it's a terrible idea. And then, yeah, I don't know. The injuries, it's a problem every year. I don't know. I don't have the injury statistics in front of me to know if it's gotten worse over the last 20 years. I mean, you have to think injuries were worse back in the day, right?
I don't know.
It might have been underreported.
Yeah.
I was going to say underreported, and I mean, in the 70s in ACL or even 80s in ACL, maybe 90s.
How many times
ACL injury?
How often do you see guys
career
playing with a club on these days?
Knee braces, shoulder.
Yeah, in the league, one of the best moves of all time. It's not even legal now. Was the club hit to the head? Boom.
Or wasn't it the Raiders players that would wear like a fully taped up forearms and they would have like metal bars on their forearm?
I would do it if I was a cornerback. My arm. Saw somebody's arms cut in half.
Oh God!
This is
I don't not to get off the topic, but I think I've brought this up to you guys before. But there was that story like 10 or so years, probably more than 10 years ago now, that in a youth football game, a dad got arrested because all the players on this team kept getting like coming off the field, all these cuts and like lacerations on their like arms and whatnot. And the ref finally like pulled the other team's running back to the side, checked his helmet, and the dad had took a file and filed his face mask so that it was razor sharp.
No, I didn't hear about that, or I forgot.
Yeah.
They call him Razor Face.
Let's just move along. Injuries suck, and everyone's dealing with it. Some worse than others. We had the little trade deadline blitz. Actually, a lot of trades went down this year. It was a little surprising. So let's just glance over some of the big ones. Maybe we'll just say winner, loser, and like what you guys think about the impact moving forward. TJ Hawkinson, he's traded to the Vikings. I think it was a second, and then they swapped fourths or something like that.
Detroit got the 2023 second round and 2024 third round. Minnesota got Hawkinson 2023 fourth, 2024 fourth.
Okay.
Conditional 2024 fourth.
So what do you think?
I think it was a good trade for the Vikings. Irv Smith just went down with an injury. He's essentially out for the season and possibly can come back for the playoffs. I mean, he was a middle of the pack, maybe not even that. Tight end wise. Yeah, injury prone. I think he's missed like 20 games and he's only been in the league for 3 years, something like that. I mean, Hawkinson missed some games last year, but I mean, he's been all right. I mean, in 2020, he had 700 yards, 6 touchdowns. Last year, he had 500 in 12 games. He had 580 yards, 4 touchdowns. This year, he has 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think, Taylor, you said he'll have less of an impact than he did with the Lions. I don't know if we were speaking just from fantasy terms or not, but I mean, it's a Vikings team that they have weapons and, you know, can't hurt to add another one.
Yeah, I mean, I think TJ Hawkinson's in that top 5 tight end consideration. He's under contract through 2023, so next year is his last year, and his salary bumps up to just under $10 million. But he definitely bolsters the Viking offense. So the Vikings have had a potent offense. Kirk Cousins, when he has a skilled tight end, he definitely utilizes them. He had RJ. What was your boy on Washington?
Jordan
Reed in Washington. Rudolph towards the end of Rudolph's prime. So I think he'll definitely take advantage of it. Adam Thielen, he's not like the stud receiver he once was. Take some coverage away from Justin Jefferson. Definitely having a threat down the middle puts a strain on safeties. And TJ Hawkinson, he's willing to get in there and block. So, he's a extension of the O-line for Dalvin Cook. I think it's a great trade for the Vikings, and I think they didn't give – I was a little surprised by how little they actually gave up. I think the Lions are just showing that they had no interest in wanting to re-sign him, so they just wanted to get what they could while they can.
Yeah, it was a great move.
Yeah, I was very shocked.
Tanking for the first overall.
And traded in division.
Yeah. You saw what happened that one week. The Lions had I think Amon-Ra was hurt. Josh Reynolds was hurt. TJ Hawkinson took over the game. He hit like 33 fantasy points, had 3 touchdowns. Just crazy stuff. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. On to the next trade. Chase Claypool gets traded to the Bears for a second round pick, I believe.
Yeah. Second round.
I mean, is the issue
not care, big deal.
Wide receiver, or is it offense in general? I think offensive line. Justin Fields has been hit a lot. a lot this year. Because you see what happened. I mean, he makes plays. He can make throws most of the time. Mooney kind of did his thing last year, but he's had an up and down year this year. I don't know if Chase Claypool really changes too much.
Here's my thing with this trade.
Get the ball off night clean.
Immediately when I saw this trade was made, I was like, oh, great. The Bears just traded a second-round pick to get Chase Claypool just to use him as a gadget. Have him on end arounds, have him lining up at running back.
I would hate to see it.
Throw him the occasional bomb.
He's too
like I just don't see them utilize if they brought him in and they're going to utilize him as a number one receiver and force targets through him. I think that could work out. And I think maybe getting traded and going to the Bears is better for his attitude. But if they're going to bring him in and trying to use him similar to like how the Falcons used Cordell Patterson, I think it's a waste. And they just threw away a second round pick, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they seem like they finally turned a corner a little bit as far as how they want to utilize Justin Fields, leaning more on the run, design runs for him, getting him out of the pocket, and they've had success the last few weeks. I don't think Chase Claypool is that great already, so I don't think he necessarily adds to their... I don't think it's a big move. I just don't think it's a big move for their team in particular, because now what is he? Is he going to be their wide receiver one? Do they think he's better than Mooney? Like, it depends on what their view is of that. And I don't think Chase Claypool's a guy that's a wide receiver one, maybe not even a wide receiver two.
He's big body.
So, yeah, I don't think it's a big move, really.
Yeah, I think if anything, the Steelers got rid of a player that they maybe wanted to get rid of anyway, especially with the way
Pickens
is playing, and they get a second-round pick out of it. And honestly, the way that this front office scouts wide receivers, they can turn a second-round pick into another stud receiver if they wanted to, or maybe bolster the O-line. Who knows?
Yeah, Deontay Johnson's still there.
Moving forward, maybe the biggest trade of the week, Bradley Chubb goes to the Dolphins.
Big move for the Dolphins. They already signed him to a deal. They gave up one of those first rounders they got from San Francisco. I think that was the last of the three they got in that Trey Lance deal, right? I mean, Bradley Chubb's a young, talented pass rusher, sort of an anchor type piece for a Denver defense has been pretty good the last few years. And a Dolphins defense that's been pretty good too. And I don't know, I should have pulled it up, what their pass rushing stats are this year. But it's only going to add to that. And they seem to be a contender type team when Tua is healthy. So why not add to it? And it seems like teams are, I think, Taylor, you and I were talking about this a few days ago, the value of picks versus players, established players. So it seems the Dolphins are going that route. Trading all their picks for players.
Yeah, no one cares about picks these days ever since the Rams got a Super Bowl out of it. We'll see how it works in, I guess, a few years. Here's my biggest complaint. They trade for Bradley Chubb, and they immediately give him a 5-year, $110 million contract. $63 million guaranteed. Average salary, $22 million a year. For this year, he's only making $7 million, a little over $7 million this year. That is a huge contract. That's way bigger than, just off the top of my head, than the deals that the Titans gave, say, Bud Dupree and Harold Landry. Here's Bradley Chubb's numbers. His rookie year in 2018, he plays the full season, finishes with 60 total tackles and 12 sacks. That's awesome. Sign me up. I'll take it. Then go to 2019. He only plays 4 games, gets hurt for the rest of the season, gets 1 sack. 2020, he plays 14 games, gets you 7.5 sacks. 2021, he's only able to suit up for 7 games, and he gets 0 sacks. This year so far, he's been healthy. He's gone through 8 games. He has 5.5 sacks.
I'm sure he's like third in almost every pass rush category.
But
this year
he's missed in his first, excluding this year, in his first 4 seasons, he missed a total of 14, like 23 games in 4 years. And he has, and then also in those 4 years, he had 26 sacks in 41 games. So he's averaging about a third a sack a game, and now you're going to be giving him $22 million a year on average.
Yeah, that's the way it gets.
And then the Dolphins already gave money to
his contracts. The cap's getting pretty thin.
Tyreek Hill, Teron Armstead. They're potentially going to have to sign Tua. Jalen Waddle is going to want a mega deal. Like, they're potentially... Oh, Xavier Howard already has a monster deal. Byron Jones already has a monster deal.
Byron Jones, he should be expiring.
They're definitely like... They need to win now, basically. Or they're going to be in the situation with the Rams where they're going to have to do salary cap sorcery, and you're going to be paying a lot out of pocket.
Yeah, as you were going through all of that, I think it's a good move right now, but the signing, they might... I don't know. Are they good enough to be a team that plays for Super Bowl this year? Maybe not. Maybe they are.
I mean, they're definitely a contender as of now. But I don't know. I don't like to move long term.
They have an estimated $1.9 million in cap right now. So we'll see what their plan is. And Tua, you figure, is gonna... He's next year's his last year on his rookie deal.
I think so.
So you figure he's probably, if he plays the way he's played this year and next year, you figure he's going to be in that $40 to $45 million range. That seems to be the going rate for franchise quarterbacks now.
I want to throw up.
So I mean, you're right. You made good points. I think it was a good move for this year, and that's all I'm going to focus on because I'm not a fan of the Dolphins, so they can do whatever they want.
Win now mentality move.
Yeah, it is. It is funny they traded all those picks away.
On to the next one. Maybe the most surprising move, in my opinion. Calvin Ridley gets traded to the Jags.
Bolstering the wide receiver core for Trevor Lawrence. That's what I mean. I don't know. That's what the move tells me, that they're all right with not having him this year and giving Trevor Lawrence as much help as they need. They look promising. We talked about them on the show a few times the first few weeks of the season. I think I may have picked them as my team of the week in week 3 or 2 or something.
They smacked around the Chargers, but then we found out the Chargers just aren't that good.
Yeah. So, I mean, now the Jaguars have lost 4 or 5 in a row.
Well, this is what I think. There's stipulations with the trade that kind of protect the Jags. But it's not... He's healthy, physically at least. The suspension was for gambling. like, it's like it's not like he's Deshaun Watson or what's his name, Primo from the Spurs. Like he made a mistake. Hopefully, he's not like a gambling addict. But yeah, so he comes in next year. Everything's good. Now Trevor Lawrence is going to have Christian Kirk. I almost did it again.
Kirk Cousins.
The Jaguars are going to have Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley, and Travis Etienne. That's pieces to build off of, and I'm sure Trevor Lawrence is thrilled, honestly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We'll see if he can put it together. It's the only thing that matters.
Yep, you gotta. Hopefully, Doug Peterson can get him focused so he doesn't just quit turning the ball over.
That'll be Trevor Lawrence's third year next year.
Yep.
So I would say they're getting him as much talent as they can, and next year's like a show us what you got. We're giving you have an offensive-minded coach. You have all these weapons. If you can't make it work, on to the next one maybe.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Gonna give him weapons, not to go off topic, build up that O-line. If he's, year 3 and 4 disappointing, move on. Like, that's all you can do.
Yep. Calvin Ridley's a good receiver. I mean, got the bad end of the whatever the phrase is, can't think of it, as far as being, I guess, one of the first players caught gambling on the NFL. Or
I'm sure a lot of players gamble. They just don't have the account linked to their name.
Yeah, whatever. He was the first guy caught and was made an example out of.
Gambling on the league. Players can gamble. They just can't gamble on the league.
Yeah. So, not too far off from a good years.
Moving on, the last two won't be that long. Nyheim Hines traded to the Bills. What?
Maybe they'll be long. Maybe I will talk as long as I want.
I mean, you can. He's traded to the Bills. He gives them just another weapon. He is a running back, but the Bills, they're going to throw the ball. If anything, he gives them some diversity. He can line up in the slot. He's quick enough that on those, he gives them. If anything, he gives them like borderline elite speed out of the backfield. He's not going to be a primary ball carrier, but he can give you a few. I think he's good I think the Bills I really think the Bills are going to try and get him 10 touches a game. Just open up that underneath, because the James Cook project just didn't pan out as much as everyone thought.
I mean, they didn't utilize James Cook really
until the
last couple of weeks.
Fumbled
and he's looked
lot.
Good. Yeah, that's true. But he has looked good with the ball in his hands the last few weeks in the garbage time. And I think it was either this past week or the week before, they actually used him more throughout the game. And when he has the ball in his hand, he makes plays. That's why I was a little surprised by the move. But, a proven player in what he is. I think Hines has at least 40 catches every year he's been in the league, something like that. And he's signed through next year, and they gave him a 6th-round pick, possibly a 5th. And then Zach Moss, who they weren't using anyways. So, low risk, high reward deal.
Yeah,
a high-powered offense that throws the ball a lot.
And they missed out
receiving back.
The Bills missed out on Christian McCaffrey, so they got Hines.
Yeah.
All right, last big trade. Roquan Smith.
We gotta talk about this one.
Of course. Traded to the Ravens.
They love them linebackers.
I have something to say about it, but you guys go ahead. What do you think?
I mean, I think it doesn't hurt to add 163 total tackles to your defense.
Yeah, I mean, he's a all pro the last 2 years, I believe.
Could really help on D. Isn't there secondary where some of the issues have been lying as of recently?
But they have so much money in the secondary. I mean, it is what it is at this point. Like, though they could use this in pass rush.
Well, didn't Tyus Bowser and what's his name? I can't remember the other guy. They're both coming back this week. I saw. So you put him in the middle. They were on 3-4, right?
It's like a modified.
Yeah, so I mean, he's not going to be he's going to be in the middle most likely.
Yeah, I mean the Ravens, they're one of those teams that has always, they love their linebackers, and I'm assuming this means they don't love Patrick Queen the way he's been playing. Patrick Queen's kind of been a poor tackler throughout his career. I don't think he's been as good in coverage as he was projected to be as a small, fast back. And Roquan Smith's a thumper, and he can run with you. So I mean,
I was never a fan of Patrick Queen, and arguably he's having his best year, but he's not great in coverage.
Still misses tackles.
Yeah, he's not. He's not really trusted one-on-one tackling. He's more so. I think his best attributes are sending him, like blitzing him in gaps, and then dropping him into shallow zones where he has limited responsibilities. So I think the Roquan
Smith could open things up for him if they just want to utilize him as a blitzer off the edge. He's small, hide him behind the trees.
Yeah, so I think Roquan Smith, you put him in the center of your defense. He's a tackling machine. He's uber athletic. Then Tyus Bowser comes back, and then you kind of can rotate Bowser and Queen.
Yeah, they had from last year.
They can both play that stand-up linebacker, also rush a little bit. But here's my biggest complaint. They gave up a 2nd and a 4 for him.
And a
5. Okay, AJ Klein. They gave up a 2nd and a 5.
Coach Klein.
Apparently, the asking price for Brandon Cooks was a 2nd and a day 3 pick. The Ravens, while having Roquan Smith is great, they didn't really need Roquan Smith. They need a wide receiver. And Brandon Cooks basically has put up numbers wherever he's been, regardless of offenses or quarterbacks.
True, though. Every team he's been on.
So I think, and I know Brandon Cooks has a big salary hit, so maybe they just couldn't work it out. And I'll wag my finger at them because the reason they couldn't work that out is the Lamar not having an extension yet. I just think, I don't think Roquan Smith is gonna. What is happening out there?
He's dying.
If I get if some of the beast pulls me through the window, you guys have a head start. I just don't think Roquan Smith is gonna make this team I don't think he's gonna push them to the next level. I think they have Roquan Smith now. But I'm not going oh, Ravens are now, Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
And he still needs to be signed.
He's
last year.
What does he have? He's on his 5th-year option, yeah. So, I mean, it was. I don't think it was a bad trade because he's obviously a great player. He's one of the best linebackers in the league. He's a sure tackler, and he can be a leader of your defense and the quarterback of your defense. So obviously, it helps. Their defense is better than it was before they traded for him. So I think it was like you said, did they necessarily need him? No, but maybe they tried to trade for a receiver and they couldn't, or who knows what happened. Maybe that's just the only deal they could get. So I mean, you're not gonna say no to him because you can't get them. So I don't know. I think you're right. I don't think that move on its own makes them better than the Chiefs or Bills. But a struggling defense, adding an all-pro player does help. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Not my favorite trade. I mean, Roquan Smith's an amazing player, like one of the best linebackers in the league, probably more so on the underrated side, if anything. But yeah.
I mean, he can get after the quarterback too. 2.5 sacks this year, 3, 4, 2, 5 the last couple of years.
If anything, going to the Ravens this year will probably get him his first Pro Bowl.
Well, Pro Bowl's no more, so.
Well, you still get voted in, don't
Skills challenge.
I don't know. They should get rid of it. I don't even want to be voted.
All right. Let's move on. We're going to talk about some of the bigger games going on. First one, Bills versus Jets. I don't have my standings out, but Bills, of course, we knew there was going to be a powerhouse. Jets are a little bit of a surprise. Do we think the Jets have a chance? Are the Bills going to put them in their place?
The Bills are 6-1. They should be undefeated. They, as far as statistics go, they blew the brakes off of Miami. Lost by 2 points in that game. Other than that, they destroyed the Rams. Titans edged out the Ravens, blew out the Steelers, got revenge against the Chiefs, and should have blown out the Packers, but kind of played sloppy in the second half. The Jets were on a roll once they decided to feed their rookie beast and Breece Hall, and then he got injured and didn't really work out for them last week. They decided to throw the ball like 400 times, and Zach Wilson didn't give them what they wanted, and they lost to the Patriots 22-17. So maybe 2 weeks ago, I think the Jets could have been a little bit of a fit for them, but I think the Bills' defense is good enough to put this game. The spread's plus 11.5, so I think that's accurate.
Gonna have to agree that the Bills gonna do what the Bills.
Yeah, I just think this would be a huge upset. I just think the Jets, like, if anything, the Jets D-line would have to ball out, and Sauce Gardner would have to play the game of his life.
Do you think he's going to be matched up with Diggs the whole game?
Play every position.
That's what you would have to do, I think.
They have Gabe Davis.
That's why I think it's such a farce. And the Bills' defense arguably they had the best linebacker duo in the league with Edmonds and the other guy. I'm drawing a blank. I don't know if you look this up because
Milano.
Yeah, Matt Milano. So I mean, they're tough to run on, and the Jets' O-line is not healthy. So yeah, I think it's an important game because I mean, look at the Jets' record; they're 5-3. Knocking down the 5-4, you're just getting them closer to getting to 500 and showing their true colors. But the Bills are just a freaking powerhouse, and they're not even healthy, which is the scariest part.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think this is like a couple weeks ago, Gabe Davis, give him a couple TDs. I got my score if you want it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got the Bills winning 31-13.
I have the Bills are winning 27-10. So obviously, Zach Wilson I'm sorry, I know he's still learning, but he's dead weight right now.
Jeez. No, it's true though. What's going on with Elijah Moore too? Everybody's disgruntled.
Should have traded him.
But they didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the direction Robert Saleh has the team, but they're still not good.
Jets will jet.
Moving on to the next game, Chargers versus the Falcons. The Chargers are, trying to keep up with the Chiefs. They're one game behind, while the Falcons, surprisingly, are first place in the NFC South. They have a one-game lead over the Bucs and the Saints. I'm just going to say it. I'm picking the Falcons to win this game. Chargers are injured. They don't look like they're playing. They have a whole lot of life. I think their coach is potentially on the way out. And I think Arthur Smith and the Falcons are just going to try to run the ball down their throat and put this game away.
Yeah, I think these teams are closer than, obviously the records are close, but in terms of overall the way they're playing and maybe even talent this year, closer than you would think to the eye. I think the Chargers should pull this one out, and I'm picking them to win. I'm a big believer in Justin Herbert, which apparently doesn't matter. They need to fire Staley. I'm saying that now, and I've been saying that for a few weeks. They have too much talent to be as porous as they are on defense and being a defensive-minded coach. And then on the other side, the Falcons are getting back Patterson, I believe.
Yep.
Off of IR. Mariota's been playing pretty well this year. Arthur Smith seems to have found a groove a little bit, at least last week, and a few games they've won. And play calling, Drake London's been doing well. Kyle Pitts has unfortunately started to score touchdowns, and they seem like they've tried to make a effort to keep him involved, even though he still doesn't get a ton of targets. But he's a unicorn, and their O-line's been playing pretty well. So I think it's gonna be a close game, but I'm giving the Chargers the 34-31 win. Hopefully, because Justin Herbert can will them to it. But Keenan Allen not playing could
Mike
affect
Williams
that.
is out too.
Yeah, I picked Falcons 26-24.
No, I think he was out last week as the bye.
So I think the Falcons, are good enough they sneak out a win right here. It's just one team's playing, at least on the surface, appears to be playing hard, giving everything they have, and another team just for a few weeks now just seem like they're just underperforming week in, week out.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Chargers 21-17.
Yep.
Still gonna get the job done.
No faith.
No faith in the Falcons. I do need Drake London to do a little something.
Next up, could be. Next up on the schedule, we have the Seahawks versus the Cardinals. Seahawks, quite the surprise, are first place in the NFC West, while the Cardinals are in fourth. However, only 2 games separate them. The Cardinals right now are 3-5. They are lost their last game, so a little trying to avoid back-to-back losses. Meanwhile, the Seahawks are on a little bit of a heater. They are on a 3-game win streak. And Geno Smith is carrying his league-leading completion percentage, and Kenneth Walker is looking like a stud out of the backfield.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks just beat the Cardinals 3 weeks ago, 19-9. I think it's going to be a little bit different this game as far as the outcome, not the winner, but the points. I think it's going to be a little bit more high scoring. I mean, the Seahawks look impressive. They beat New York last week. They could have beaten them by more. Tyler Lockett, I think, had 2 drop touchdowns. Where he dropped 1 touchdown, and 1 touchdown he came within inches of getting his feet in, something like that. and Kenneth Walker is a stud muffin. And I mean, all of they hit on like what their first 4 draft picks.
Too.
Both corners, Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant, are both playing great for them. Tariq Woolen is arguably Defensive Rookie of the Year. And Kenneth Walker is
since Breece Hall went down,
lighting up.
Yeah, he might be.
He's Kenneth Walker is just a home run threat. He's a one cut and he explodes downfield. Looking a little Jamal Charles-esque out there.
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals haven't done anything this year. They beat the Raiders. Raiders suck. They beat the Panthers. The Panthers are trying to tank, kind of. I mean, maybe. Owner probably told DJ Moore to throw his helmet. And then they destroyed the Saints, and the Saints' defense has been bad all year.
Well, meanwhile, since DeAndre Hopkins have come back, their entire offense has just been throw the ball to DeAndre Hopkins every time.
I mean, since he's been back, they scored 42 points and they scored 26 points. So, I mean, I guess that's a little bit better for Kyler, but I don't know. I just don't.
I want to see Tariq Woolen just.
I think it's got to be Kingsbury's last year, especially if they don't make the playoffs, which doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
I want to see Tariq Woolen just completely put the clamps on DeAndre Hopkins.
And DeAndre Hopkins
6'4", 210 or whatever, runs a 4 under a 4.3, like
the push off king.
He is.
He's only still 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah. I got the Seahawks winning this one 38-34.
High scoring.
Just to keep it close.
I have Seahawks winning 27-20.
Yeah, the spread's +2. So
yeah, I'm going Seahawks 31-21.
I don't think it's going to be that close, but I'll keep it a high scoring affair.
All right, next game on the schedule, we have the Titans versus the Chiefs.
Touchdown Titans.
Mike Keith is best to do it. Chiefs are 12.5-point favorites last I checked. Wow. That seems like a lot.
Way too high.
And, I mean, I'll say it. Like, I would pick the Chiefs. I'm pretty sure I picked the Chiefs to win by 10. 12.5 is just... That is a lot of points.
Yeah. I mean, I picked I'll start off. I picked the Chiefs to win 24-23. So, nail biter. The Titans seem to play up to them. They've beaten them. I know the Titans are a little banged up right now, but I think as long as Mike Vrabel always seems to have the players that are out there ready, and King Henry's still arguably the best running back in the league. He's showing it again this year. Doesn't seem to have slowed down at all. And the Chiefs defense is still middle of the pack. So I think we'll see. I mean, obviously Malik Willis is starting again, right?
They don't know yet.
So if Malik Willis starts, they're obviously going to have to lean heavily on Derrick Henry. Hopefully they can throw in a few more creative plays for him to be more involved, because they're not going to be able to do what they did to the Texans last week and just run Derrick Henry down their throat.
Here's the way I see it. The Titans actually in the Mahomes era have been one of the more successful teams besides the playoff game, which is the one that AFC Championship, the one that counted the most. The biggest factor is the Titans are one of the most injured teams in the league right now, and the Chiefs are one of the least injured teams. On offense, Derrick Henry could potentially do his part to keep the game close and keep Mahomes off the field. Defensively, Jeffrey Simmons having one of his best years. I think he should be in the Defensive Player of the Year talk, but obviously he's not because he plays in Tennessee. This could be a game like last year against the Rams where he completely just took over and made Matt Stafford's whole day a nightmare. But we'll see. I think right now it's just similar to the Bills. The Chiefs just have too much firepower. The Titans are always a team that kind of punches above their weight class, but it gets to a point when if you don't have the talent, you don't have the talent. And on top of not having the talent, what they have is injured. So I think I had Chiefs winning 30-20. So it's a Sunday night game. We'll see. Titans are usually due for one big upset a year, so maybe this is it.
Love to see it, especially Derrick Henry.
You got a pick?
Oh, yeah. 27-21. Chiefs. Sorry.
No faith.
I thought I did.
Hoping.
I thought I went first.
You maybe I didn't hear you.
On to the next.
All right, last game, which is on our list of games to watch. Vikings versus the Commanders. The Vikings are on 6-1. They're one of the better teams in the league. They're on a 5-game win streak. Look out. Kirk Cousins is leading this team to one of their best years in recent history. And the Commanders are respectively at 4-4 on a
3-game win streak.
You guys are on a 3-game win streak?
Yep.
Shoot, I didn't even realize that. Led by no other than
Taylor
Heineke.
Heineke.
Again, this is a game where I don't know if the Vikings, they just got TJ Hawkinson, if they'll have too much firepower, but, you know, the Commanders have been able to utilize their ground game a little bit more. All of a sudden, when Antonio Gibson is replaced, now he's playing his best ball he's played.
Now I'm going to start him. He's good.
Heineke, unlike their other quarterbacks so far, is willing to throw the ball and let his receivers make plays, which is maybe what they've needed all year. We saw last week, Scary Terry goes up and just mosses Stephon Gilmore on the 1-yard line to win the game, basically. And the defense, the defense isn't bad. They make plays.
They've been playing better and better every week. So the Cowboys were leading in sacks, but we were leading in pressures as of last week. I haven't checked it this week. In total actual pressures.
Chase Young is not going to be back this week, is he?
He might be back. He might be back this week. I don't think so, but there's a chance. He's practicing. I doubt it, but it's a possibility.
And for this game, I have it. I have it Vikings 24, Commanders 20. As long as the Commanders can try and keep Dalvin Cook in check and make it a Kirk Cousins game, they can keep it close. And maybe similar to last week, they can, make a push at the end of the game to steal it. But I do think it'll be close. The Vikings are on a 5-game win streak, so you'd think maybe they're due for a L.
Yeah, and they've been winning their games kind of how Washington's been winning their games. They haven't been dominating all the way through. It's sloppy, like I said earlier, but a win's a win. We'll see. Maybe pressure will get to them. I'm going Washington 28, Minnesota 20.
Nice 8-point cover there.
Bettors, please do not listen
The
to his
Vikings
advice.
have given up over 21 points every game on their winning streak, except for against the Dolphins. They only gave up 16, but that was to a Tua-less Dolphins team and Bridgewater-less, I'm pretty sure. And Washington's been able to put up numbers this year. I have the Vikings winning. I think they have a little bit more talent on offense.
Definitely do.
I'm going 27-24. I think it'll be a close game. If the Vikings let Washington be in a position to have the ball at the end, Heineke's proven last year and so far this year that he can make some magic happen. So it wouldn't shock me at all if Washington pulls this one out. I don't think it'll be a blowout either way. Definitely a close game.
What's funny is if you look at these teams, Vikings are 6-1, Commanders are 4-4. The Vikings have scored 170 points. Commanders have scored 140. That's 30 points. So that's less than a touchdown difference a game. Defensively, Vikings allow 145. Commanders are allowing 170. Again, that's less than a touchdown difference. So this very well could be a game coming down to which team makes the big play to get that extra 7 points. That'll be the difference.
I know turnovers are important in every game, but obviously a turnover battle. Whoever wins that's probably going to win this game. We get a lot of interceptions, but Washington's got forcing fumbles in the pocket. Maybe get Kirk Cousins in the pocket. You know what I'm saying? Get her going.
Yeah, matchup to watch is McLaurin versus Peterson. Peterson's kind of had a redemption year so far for the Vikings.
Yeah, he is older. Not older.
Yeah, McLaurin. He's played well this year.
Yeah.
And
Justin Jefferson disappeared a couple games too.
Did work against what's his name last week.
Similarly, I think with both teams, Zadarius Smith versus Montez Sweat. I think whichever defensive end can, get that push will make a huge difference because neither of these quarterbacks want to be, moving around a lot. Both are willing to make plays. I mean, look, Kirk Cousins had 20-yard touchdown run last week, but both of these quarterbacks, like to, they're not, Josh Allen Mahomes slinging sidearm off balance.
Heineke's pretty mobile, I would say. When he feels the pressure, he gets
no. Heineke, he can definitely run.
I think that's his best attribute as a quarterback is when he knows when the pressure's coming to find a way out, and then he looks down the field. Unlike Wentz, who just sits there and panics. So hopefully when he comes back, he can change
that. If they win tonight, or if they win this weekend. How long is Wentz out?
Yeah, I'm telling you that
they go 4-0 without him.
Heineke is the arm strength. It's pure arm strength over the talent.
While we're talking about Heineke, did you see that story where every time you shared it on Facebook, Heineke, every time he gets a win, he buys a pair of Jordans in the other team's colorway?
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
That's pretty cool. I respect that.
He definitely has some
well, anything else y'all want to talk about for week 9?
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Dilly.
On the screen, it looks like the Dallas Star next to it.
That's what I said. I said before we went live, before we joined the thing, I was like, is that Dallas? I know, but
green.
I told you, especially I was looking at my other monitor.
It's the Barstool Star.
Blue. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins are out tonight, so I think this game is going to be like I think what's going to happen is Eagles into the third quarter bench their starters, and the Texans maybe scrounge a few points, but I think this game's over quick and over.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we thought the Chiefs Titans spread was large. This one's plus 14.
Oh, that's respectable. The Texans, the Titans gifted the Texans 3 short fields, and they, besides the last drive when the Titans were just trying to get them to kill clock, and they got a garbage touchdown, and it was 3-17 or whatever, and the Titans had no ability to throw the ball. It was just King Henry. So now with the Eagles O-line, which is a million times better than the Titans O-line, and Hurts throwing the ball, this is going to be a complete annihilation.
As it should.
If the Texans win, I'll quit the show.
Hey, you will. Happen. Remember, how much do
you won't quit. You'll be forced out.
Given Thursday.
No. If the Eagles lose this game, I'll lose.
Why don't you shut your dirty mouth and stop saying this bad juju stuff?
Eagles lose. It's gonna happen.
I'm already putting the paperwork in for your resignation. I'll write it up for you.
All right. Well, does that do it for the show?
I believe so.
All right. Well, this is No Interference. We are your hosts, Westside, Big Sass, and the Bull. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, we appreciate everyone that tunes in and listens. I forget which way to point, but follow us on social media at the NI Show. We're on Twitter and Instagram. And if you're watching this video, it's probably going to be up on Saturday morning. Get your weekend football fix in, and we'll see you next time. So adios.
Peace. See you later.